Hi, this is Sabina Sheikh here on Zoom channel, and with me right now I have the expert who knows it all when it comes to the world of Indian cinema. So join me as I welcome Taran Adarsh, sir, trade analyst, only on Zoom channel. Lovely to have you, sir. And as always, I'm always eager to have these conversations with you because the way you give insights, I feel like you know it all. So I really want to start off with Dhurandhar 1, versus Dhurandhar 2. What do
Yes.
you have to say about it and, how it was? क्या ज्यादा यानी, पेस में थी, कैसी लगी आपको?
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for such a lovely introduction, Samina. Yes, I watched Dhurandhar 2 and I did watch Dhurandhar 1 twice actually, once in a previous screening and one at the theater. And uh, I, I'm in love with this film. With these two chapters actually, let me put it that way. I think it's a brilliant film.
Mhm.
uh, the first part was outstanding. The second part supersedes that. It goes beyond your expectations. The first chapter had a lot of questions, which the second part has answered, and you get all the answers in the second half. So there's a lot of story, there's a lot of attention, detailing, and a lot of uh, I think episodes that will keep you hooked completely. And you need to be very alert while watching this second chapter, because there are a lot of things that are happening in the film in the course of those 4 hours. And
Mhm.
I think it's a fantastic experience. It's definitely the film of, if Durandar was the film of 2025, this is the film of 2026 as of now.
And so almost 4 hours of a movie and
Yeah.
a lot of masala, a lot of twist.
Yes.
Ranveer Singh's performance has been praised a lot. What do you have to say about him? Uh,
Outstanding. He is beyond outstanding. He's hit the ball out of the stadium, out of the universe, actually. And he is really, he is so good in the film, so good in the film. I always felt, and that he gives his best only with Sanjay Leela Bansali. And I would rate Padmavat as his best performance. But then Dhurandhar Part 1 and now Dhurandhar Chapter 2, I think he has gone, I think, explored new terrains, and I think he has gone beyond the usual, beyond the comfort zone that he may be having, or he has really experimented with his looks, with his talent, with his performance, with his body language, everything. And what a flawless, fantastic, fantabulous performance. He's a lifeline, he's a soul, he's the backbone of this film. And I think the film would have fallen like a pack of cards had it not been the right portrayal by Hamza. And in this film, of course, there's a backstory of Jaskirat, which I'm sure you'll watch and you'll realize. But I think uh, it's a it's a it's an award-worthy performance. Reserve all the awards for Ranveer Singh this year. He is so good in the film. I think you know at a point of time he was being compared with his contemporaries, and a lot of times. And I think, but I think he silenced all of them. uh, he has proven with Durandar Part 1 and Durandar Part 2 that he is a matchless actor. What a fine performance. What a brilliant performance. And what a, you know, कहते हैं ना एकदम बारीकी से हर सीन को समझना and then perform करना. I was looking at his expressions at some vital points of the film, and I realized that he's got it so right. He's normally when you shoot a film, this film was shot at one go, 7.5 hours, 8 hours, or whatever they must have shot, and brought it down to 7.5 hours for two parts. To be alert for every sequence, to remember what you had done there and what expressions you have to give in the next shot. I think he got it so right. There was never a false step. There was never a situation where you felt, यार ये scene में मजा नहीं आया. He could have done it better. No, he deserves distinction marks for this portrayal, and I think this film will go down in his filmography, in his career graph, as landmark film. Durandar in Part 1 and Part 2, and it's a boon as well as a bane for Ranveer Singh. बोन इसलिए है क्योंकि ऐसी ऐसे बिजनेस, ऐसी फिल्में बहुत कम एक्टर्स को नसीब होती है.
and what you're saying is actually absolutely right. The way he came, with the kind of movies he had done, to now where he has kind of evolved. And we are also seeing that, a Romeo, a romantic character completely turning out into, doing an action oriented role. He's given his soul, to a movie like Dhurandhar. And even the kind of look what he kind of had, the kind of makeup he went through, the kind of workouts he's gone through, the beefing up for the role. I think, don't you feel that he goes an extra mile, to just be in that character?
Yeah, and this is one of those characters, or one of those, and there are multiple shades to this character. So it was not, I'm sure it must have been very, very tough for Ranveer to actually get into the skin of the character, because here you're not portraying the usual lover boy, or you're portraying, it's not even something that he has visited in the past and he has to revisit it this time. It's not even an extension of Khilji, or the character that he portrayed in Karan's film, or any other film, Band Baja Bharat, or any other film that he's done in the past. This was a completely new experience as far as the character sketch is concerned. If you look at Hamza in the first part, and then in the second part you look at Jaskirat, and then of course how from Jaskirat he becomes Hamza, that transformation, right from the physical transformation to that mental state of being Hamza, it must have been a challenge for Ranveer to actually get it right. Because had it not been uh, had it not been portrayed well on the screen, it would have fallen flat. It would have fallen like a pack of cards. And I think Ranveer deserves, as I said, when I say when he deserves all the awards this year, is because you see the difference in performance in both the characters, just Kirat and to uh, Hamza, and to get into that in that zone of being a don, Lyari ka jo king banta hai, which of course everyone is aware, it's not something that is hidden, but you know that particular, from that journey till there, and then how he faces a lot of obstacles right till the end. I think that transition from one character to another, and then to what he eventually happens to him, is a master class in acting, is a master class in how a performer should really take up a challenging character.
And as you say this also, sir, it's very interesting. I must say that when you say that, he's gone to the detailing of, the entire character. One thing which has also been noticed is that, Ranveer also kind of had a good equation on the set when Aditya Dhari also, kind of confronted and confessed actually about it that, Ranveer used to be, of help for other, things as well. Uh, while that is one thing of him, his passion has kind of got him here. Did you feel that he was kind of giving tough competition to other actors also who were a part of this?
I genuinely feel that when you have an ensemble cast like Akshay Khanna, who I rate as a supremely talented actor, and I've rated this all the while, Sanjay Dutt, R. Madhavan, again a brilliant actor, Sanju, of course, as I said, that larger than life image, and then you have Arjun Rampal, who sprung a big surprise with a fantastic performance. So, when you see those characters on screen, and then Rakesh Bedi, oh my God. Oh my God. You see him in second half, and you're stunned. But I don't want to really reveal much, because those who have not watched the film would not really would appreciate me talking much about that character. But having said that, there were characters who had very strong roles in that film. And to match up to those expectations, a lot of times after the first part release, a lot of people told me, "Oh, it was Akshay Khanna's film." I disagree with that statement. Yes, Akshay Khanna was outstanding, and his some of the moments he conveyed so much through his eyes. And I always say that, and I've always said this about Akshay from the very beginning, that कई actors dialogue के मोहताज नहीं होती, उनकी आंखें बहुत कुछ बयां कर जाती हैं. And I think Akshay is one of those. But Ranveer was awesome in that particular role in the first part. But in the second part, when he takes over, what a performance! You are speechless. You are stunned by the level of intensity that he shows, and there's never a false step, because I feel that mm, uh, you know, sorry, going off track would have really taken away something from his performance. But he was so perfect you didn't feel he got the right beats, and he never, वो कहते हैं ना कि हम एक सुर उसने पकड़ लिया था इस particular character from the very start, and he maintained that. He only cemented his position in the second part, and you when you watch the film you realize this.
So a lot of conversations were happening on social media regarding the demonetization mention on it. And trolling is also something which Dhurandhar 2 faced, which was not heavily criticized when the first one came out. What do you have to say about that?
I've seen Sholay in the theaters in 1975. I was 10 years old at that point of time. And I remember a lot of criticism coming its way. But this is a common thing where hum aapke hain kaun and release, a lot of criticism came. In that time, we didn't have social media. Today, we have social media. So everyone voices their opinion on various social media handles or apps. But, I just wish to say that when I was watching this film, I never, with due respect to the trolls, they may be having an opinion, but I must add here that I loved the film. I think Dhurandhar Part 1 and Dhurandhar Part 2 are the best films to come out of the Hindi film industry, and they've elevated the status of Hindi film industry. Let me say this on record. This is what the audiences want to watch in theaters, and this is what the audiences expect from Bollywood. I mean, look at the collections of the film. From the paid reviews itself, there are, you must, I'm sure you're aware that the tickets were highly priced, exorbitant, 2,000, 2,500, and yet they were selling like hotcakes. And the numbers actually are baffling, because, you don't, we have never imagined these numbers. It's a dream to actually have a box office run like this. So, people, when they talk or they troll a film, it's okay, it's their opinion. But eventually, क्या मायने रखता है? Box office पे सिक्कों की खनक. The whole thing is that कि भैया सबसे बड़ा रुपया. That was a song from Mahmood Saab's film सबसे बड़ा रुपया, and this song is relevant even today. That all that matters are the box office collections, right from the paid reviews from 5 p.m. onwards on Wednesday, right across till Sunday. The film is doing outstanding business, not just in India, but it has done in its extended weekend in the international markets 212 crores gross. Imagine, people were saying, अरे ये इसका ओवरसीज अच्छा नहीं होगा इस बार, क्योंकि वहां पर डिस्टर्बेंसेस हैं, वहां वॉर शुरू हो गई है, मिडिल ईस्ट में रिलीज नहीं हो रही है, एंड बट see the volume of business. This film has elevated the Hindi film industry by leaps and bounds. We should be celebrating that. We should be proud of it. But fine, as I said, I respect the opinion of those people who disagree with me. But as I said, I want to go on record and say it's the film of 2026. Dhurandhar 1, Part 1 was the film of 2025. This is the film of 2026 so far. It's an outstanding film. It's a masterpiece, which I wrote in my review as well. And it's going to be an epic blockbuster. It is an epic blockbuster. What else do you want? I mean, the makers, the producers, and the studio, Geo Studios, they have recovered the cost of the first film as well as the second film from the first film itself. सेकंड फिल्म तो उनके लिए बोनस है. प्रॉफिट्स तो फर्स्ट फिल्म में ही आ गए थे, सेकंड फिल्म के भी. तो सोचिए, जब ऊपर वाला देता है, छप्पर फाड़ के देता है. एंड दैट्स ऑल दैट मैटर्स, दैट बॉक्स ऑफिस. दिस फिल्म हैज बीन लव्ड, फाउंड एप्रिसिएशन, फाउंड क्रिटिकल एक्लेम, एंड ऑफ कोर्स हैज वन ओवर बॉक्स ऑफिस. व्हाट एल्स डू यू वांट? आई मीन, इन टुडेस सिनेरियो, व्हेन बड़ी बड़ी फिल्में ओपन नहीं होती है बराबर, दिस फिल्म हैज collected 100 crores on 2 consecutive days. I'm talking about the Hindi version. Imagine the kind of business this film is doing right now. US, Canada, $14 million in the weekend. UK, which has a big chunk of population from a neighboring country, it has crossed, I think it has crossed 1 million there. Sorry, it has crossed, or it's almost 2 million out there, 2 million pounds out there. Australia, breaking all records. New Zealand, fantastic. Germany, superb. और क्या?
And the interesting part in this movie was also to suddenly see Yami Gautam making a cameo as Shazia Bano of Huck. And that was something which people also spoke about. Do you think that's going to add more element? Because that's led to a lot of curiosity also that, how come suddenly Yami Gautam has come into
I
a
mean,
movie like this?
yeah, when it came, I was a bit surprised also, but I liked it. Because that was a very important part of the episode of the story uh, in the film. There's an interesting part, and her presence, and then there was Bade Saab also, which who came in, and I really liked that part also, the entire handling of that part, and towards the end also with Bade Saab episode coming in. So I feel there are a lot of surprises in this film, and the surprises fit so seamlessly in the narrative. I think that's the best part. So when you watch Yami Gautam, or you watch Bade Sahab, or you watch any character going through their ups and downs, you're not startled कि ये क्या हो गया? No, you're stuck. Maybe you're surprised, yes, because that's a twist in the story. But when one of the best parts was I was waiting. I was watching the previous screening, uh, and I was watching it on Wednesday evening, where the paid previews. Then I had my personal screening. Uh, the producers were kind enough to show me the screening on Wednesday morning, 11:45, 12 noon. And so and I like to watch a film at a stretch, without an interval. So I do take a break at times. But coming back to there's there's this interval point, and I was like, what? What just happened? What did I see? It is that kind of reaction. And in the end, there's a sequence between Ranveer and one more actor in the car, in a moving car. And I was like, wow, what a way to conclude the film. I mean, what do I say? I mean, this film, goosebump moments, yes. Uh, Surprises, yes. Wonderful surprises. And I would say that and not one aspect came out before the release. There were no spoilers, and I think that's the best part of the film.
As we speak, there was this entire mystery around Bade Saab, and a lot of stories came out that Imran Hashmi might play the role, or Salman Khan would be having a cameo. Some AI pictures also came out, and finally we see a different character altogether playing that role.
Yeah,
Do you feel he's done justice to that role?
very good.
That could
Very,
have
very.
been done by Ajay
Portrayed.
Devgn and other
The
actors.
actor was portrayed every performance. I mean, Bade Saab ho. Yeah, there's one uh, actor who's portrayed the character of Nawaz Sharif. He's a replica of Nawaz Sharif in the film. And then there's a twist in the climax. There are so many things that I can talk about. The interval point, which I said, and I was like, what? What was this? I was so shocked. And I just took took a break and I came out. I said, start within 5 minutes because I want to see what happens after that. See what happens post interval in that particular sequence. That kind of reaction. And I'm sure this point, the interval point, is going to be a rage. People will be discussing it. Because when I came out and I told the GO team, I said, what was this interval point? That was my first reaction. And when the film ended, my first reaction was, when is part 3 coming? That kind of excitement is there when you watch a film like this. Otherwise तो आप पिक्चर देखते हैं, रिएक्शन देते हैं और निकल जाते हैं. अगले दिन शायद वो पिक्चर याद भी नहीं रहती. जिंदगी आगे बढ़ जाती है और आप अपनी जिंदगी में बिजी हो जाते हैं. फिर नई फिल्म आती है, फिर आप देखते हैं, फिर चले जाते हैं. ये रूटीन चलता रहता है. बट ये फिल्म आपके दिल और दिमाग पे छा जाती है. कुछ ना कुछ कारण है. और ये कारण ये है कि इसकी लिखाई, इसका जो पर्दे पर जो प्रदर्शन है, कमाल का है. हर एक्टर ने, मैं कहूंगा कि उन्होंने इतिहास में अपना नाम रचा है. उन्होंने इतिहास में अपना नाम लिखा. बिकॉज अ फिल्म लाइक दिस कम्स once in a blue moon.
keeping the mirror reflection, there was this one scene which, kind of got, caught into the eyes of, audience also, where the director was seen. That was one kind of a glitch. But otherwise, Aditya Dhar somewhere is compared to that of Christopher Nolan, and
You
people
know,
are saying that his direction is quite great, and he's very brilliant as a director. What do you have to say about it?
आज तो भाई शोले भी रिलीज होती तो उस पर भी 10 नुक्स निकालते लोग। तो लोग तो कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, और हो भी सकता है कि इस फिल्म में नुक्स हो। मैंने वो नोटिस नहीं किया क्योंकि मैं उस फिल्म में इतना इन्वॉल्व हो चुका था, गुम हो चुका था कि मुझे पता ही नहीं चल रहा था। मैं यही सोच रहा था कि अब नए पत्ते जो खुल रहे हैं, द वे आदित्य धार हैज हैंडल्ड द सब्जेक्ट, एंड कुडोस टू ज्योति देश पांडे जी, kudos to Aditya Dhar, kudos to Lokesh Dhar, the three producers of the film, for backing a film like this. Before the release of the first part, I remember a very prominent person from the industry, a distributor. I just called him casually and I said, how's the advance booking of Dhurandhar Part 1? Saying कि नहीं इतना खास नहीं है, देखो अब चलो वीकेंड ठीक निकल जाएगा, देखते हैं क्या होता है, बट उम्मीद ज्यादा नहीं है। मैंने कहा क्यों उम्मीद ज्यादा नहीं? ये सिंह हमारी गैंगस्टर की फिल्में, जो मुंबई की गैंगस्टर की फिल्में भी लोग देख देख के थक गए हैं, वो देखना नहीं चाहते, तो ये तो पाकिस्तान के गैंगस्टर्स की फिल्में कौन देखना चाहेगा? बट सी हाउ द वर्ड चेंजेस, सी हाउ द कहते हैं ना कि जब ऑडियंस किसी को अपना लेती, किसी कैरेक्टर को, किसी फिल्म को, किसी एक्टर को, तो उसे कोई रोक नहीं सकता। एंड धुरंधर and Dhurandhar now part 2, chapter 2, both are box office now. And people are comparing it with Pushpa 2. I'm talking about Dhurandhar chapter 2. People are comparing it with Pushpa 2, Jawan, Pathan, KGF 2, Chhawa, Stree 2. I would say don't compare Dhurandhar 2 with any film. If at all Dhurandhar 2 has to be compared, and I say this on record, it has to be compared with Dhurandhar part 1. Dhurandhar Part 1 is the highest grossing Hindi film. It's sitting on the throne. And now the new emperor has arrived. And that is Dhurandhar 2.
Interesting, sir. And I must say that, now that, Dhurandhar 2 has come, Dhurandhar 1 has come, a lot of gearing is happening around Dhurandhar 3. And people are actually like, making a lot of theories around it, because earlier what we felt is like he just wants to take an extension to Dhurandhar 2, and that
Yes,
is where he will halt. But
yes,
now after seeing Dhurandhar 2, the word has spread, it's gone, globally, and it's made some like good, revenue also. Now that
yes.
Dhurandhar 3 is also kind of, in the picture, what do you
I
have?
hope they make the film. I
Yeah.
genuinely hope. But I'm sure Ranveer, Aditya, they all want to take a break and move on to something else also. And then perhaps revisit Durandar. Maybe, Samina, I must tell you something very interesting. When I came out of the theater, my first reaction to Geo's team was, when is Durandar 3 coming out? And when I had a long chat with the producer Jyoti ji, and I
Yeah.
told her the same thing. Please bring Durandar 3.
Oh.
Because as a fan of Durandar, as someone who's admired the kind of filmmaking that we have, and I think it's so important that films like these need to be made, should be made, ought to be made. This is what takes Hindi cinema notches higher than what it is right now. In between, people were comparing our industry with South industry and saying South has overtaken. Yes, South did deliver, because they have never left that masala film or entertainer ka, that core strength ever. They have
Mm.
always made those kind of films. They've always delivered good music. And we used to do that in the 70s and 80s. Even today, when we play Antakshri, we go back to those earlier songs. We remember the songs of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We don't remember the new songs, unfortunately. But so music is a very important part. And here too, Durandar Part 1 and there is Part 2. The songs are really good. You watch it, and I love the way, I'm
Mm.
so against people using yesteryear melodies in movies, and Aditya Dhar has, with the music composer, has used it, used those evergreen compositions so beautifully in the film.
And I was going to come to the music part of it, because
Oh,
this
please watch
music
it.
is quite different.
And
Which one has been your favorite? What you like?
He's used those songs so well in the second part also, in the first part as well, and the second part also, because there are moments and those vintage, those evergreen songs come in, and with a new touch, of course, so beautifully done, so beautifully done. I mean, hats off to the music composer, hats off to the director, and the vision of these two people, the way they have integrated it in the narrative so beautifully. And the songs, the choice of songs, kya kehne.
That's interesting. I must say that, and yes, as you say that the choice of songs have been great, but there's also one more thing which has added some chemistry in the first one, which was the chemistry between Sara Arjun and Dhurandhar,
Yeah.
and Dhurandhar Ranveer Singh. So what do you have to say about that? Was that there was some turbulence, after how he is actually versus what she expected.
This would be a spoiler if I reveal really too much. But then, I love that portion whenever they are together. I think those are very intense sequences, especially towards one turning point in the film, in the story. I think it's a beautiful turning point, and towards the finale also. But having said that, I think every character in the film is there for a reason, has not been forced in the narrative. So be it Sara Arjun, be it of course Arjun Rampal has a very meaty role. He's there from start to end. And in the end, it's the clash between, it's the fight between these two forces, Hamza and Arjun Rampal's character. And and the overall, every character, R. Madhav, oh my God, what an actor. He's always been a superb actor, but look at the range of this actor in this film. How he's got it right. Sanjay Dutt. Kya kahun? Arjun Rampal. I mean, I'm telling you, he's so fantastic in this film. People will wake up to the talent of this Arjun Rampal. We've forgotten him. A lot of industry people have ignored him in the recent past. He's such a fine actor. He needs to be taken in movies, cast in movies, and challenging characters, good character, meaty characters. Dhurandhar proves it. अक्षय खन्ना की तो खैर बात ही अलग है, वो एक अलग लेवल पे है. रणवीर सिंह ने तो प्रूव ही कर दिया, झंडे गाड़ दिए कहते हैं ना जैसे हम. सारा अर्जुन वेरी गुड एज वेल, बट एवरी कैरेक्टर, राकेश बेदी, he started in 70s and I started in late 70s, 80s. So I've seen his career graph from the beginning, almost from the beginning. See how people are typecast in a particular role, but they don't get the opportunity. And when they get the opportunity, it's a blast on screen. Rakesh Bedi is one such actor. Typecast in particular, compartmentalized in those characters. Comedy करनी है, 2 scene के लिए लेके आ जाओ, 4 scene. And then you have a Dhurandhar. And then you have a Dhurandhar Revenge, the second part. And you say, oh my God, ये तो वही एक्टर है जिनको हमने सिर्फ कॉमिक रोल्स में देखा है. There is a streak of comedy in his performance. But क्या काम किया है, क्या काम किया है. In the end, I'm sure I haven't watched it in the theater. As I said, I watched it in a previous screening. But I'm sure in the end, जब एक सीन है वहां पर बहुत तालियां पड़ेंगी राकेश बेदी के कैरेक्टर पे. क्या कहूं मैं आपको, क्या काम किया है. I was watching those premiere ka tidbits, interesting, on a social media app, and there it was Rakesh Bedi saying, "अरे picture खत्म हो गई, भूख लगी है, खाना खिला दो कोई." And the entire crew is there, and everyone. And Arjun Rampal says, "आपने तो सबको खा लिया है पिक्चर में, और कितना खाओगे?" So that kind of performance, actually, क्या काम किया है. Ranveer has done well. Every actor, including Sara Arjun, कोई false note नहीं है. And here I would give the credit to the writer, the director, the master storyteller, Aditya Dhar. When I saw the film, I wrote to him, and I wrote this in my review: "You're a magician." Because ऐसी performances, ऐसी film, I'm so lucky that I'm in an era of watching an Aditya Dhar film, because I've seen those all-time greats, from Manmohan Desai, Prakash Mehra Saab, to Ramesh Sippy ji making Sholay, to all those films. I've seen that era. And to see Bollywood coming back and blooming again, with Dhurandhar. Such a good experience. It makes you so happy that Bollywood is in safe hands with people like Aditya Dhar in the yes, definitely Aditya Dhar in the making movies.
So, do you feel that this Dhurandhar 2 may kind of supersede the collection of Dhurandhar 1
I'm
and
very
how the
confident.
box office collection is going
I'm
to be?
very confident. I always say Dhurandhar Part 1 trailer in terms of business. Picture abhi baki hai. See the weekend collections. See the collections on a working day today. It's Monday today. Samina, you'll be shocked. See the occupancy. Just go to Book My Show and check the 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 houseful shows. The fantastic occupancy of the film on a working day after a huge extended weekend from Wednesday till Sunday. And yet roaring on Monday. It might cross 50, 60, whatever cross. What a what a dream run. ऐसा रन बहुत कम फिल्मों को नसीब होता है ऐसा रन बहुत कम फिल्में अपनी जिंदगी में ले पाती.
That's interesting. And I must say that, as you say so, do you also feel that movies like this, now that, we had faced the entire lockdown challenges when it comes to, release of movies, and so many films are releasing on OTT. With films like this, there is again a positive note only of, cinema kind of, again, seeing the right hopes, what we have kind of literally seen going stranded at one point of time.
Yes, the confidence is back. Optimism is back. Houseful boards are back. But more than everything else, the makers need to reboot themselves. They need to upgrade their filmmaking techniques, storytelling techniques. Chal jayega attitude will not work. Because audience ne Dhurandhar dekh liya. And everything that comes out, many genres, including spy thrillers, people will compare it with Dhurandhar because Dhurandhar has taken Bollywood notches above. It's a film that we all should be proud of. It's a film that deserves an applause. मैं तो जितनी तारीफ करूं कम होगी, जितनी तारीफ करूं शायद वो सही अल्फाज नहीं होंगे मेरे पास इस फिल्म के लिए.
And last two questions to you. One for Aditya Dhar, like how we have kind of seen, Sanjay Leela Bhansali being the most classical director that we have, who gets into nuances and detailing of everything. And when he makes a movie, we look for a vintage, love stories, coming around, him. Do you feel that Aditya Dhar is the new action director, the new age action director, who's also, on those lines, who's very clear on the ground?
Sanjay Leela Bhansali, in my opinion, is a genius. No two opinions about it. And so is Aditya Dhar. I have been enamored by very few filmmakers in the recent past. Sanjay ji was is one of them, of course. And now, of course, we have Aditya Dhar. Look at the storytelling of these directors. The way they present the characters, the way they narrate a story, it keeps you hooked onto the screen. There's the scale, yes, but their soul, that's very important. ये बहुत जरूरी है फिल्म, लेकिन सिर्फ ये खूबसूरत जिस्म नहीं है, एक आत्मा भी है. और चाहे वो संजय लीला बंसाली की फिल्म हो, चाहे आदित्य धर, क्योंकि आप धुरंधर की बात कर रहे हैं, तो इसमें स्केल है, सब कुछ है जो आप एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं. स्टार कास्ट है, बड़े बड़े नामचीन लोग इस फिल्म के साथ जुड़े हैं, बट इस फिल्म में आत्मा है. एंड इस फिल्म की जो लिखाई है, इस फिल्म को जिस तरह से आदित्य धर ने हैंडल किया है, शाबाशी. जितनी तारीफ करूं कम होगी. एंड आई वुड लाइक टू ऐड हियर that every filmmaker needs to watch this because we all are students. Life teaches you every single day. So अगर आप ये कहते हैं कि नहीं मैं देख लूंगा बट इसमें सीखना क्या है, no, you should learn from everyone that you see. आज कोई भी नया आदमी आता है, मैं उससे सीखता हूं. It's very important. You have to stay relevant. Otherwise, you are out of business. And it's very important that, ठीक है, Aditya Dhar has come in. He may not have produced 20 films or 40 films or directed 30 films. But look at the vision of this guy. First film, Uri. Second film, Dhurandhar. Third film, Dhurandhar the Revenge. एक से बढ़कर एक. Climbing the ladder. Not jumping, but taking a leap. और ये तो एक ऐसी फिल्म है जो या एक ऐसा फ्रेंचाइज कहूं मैं जिसे चैप्टर 1 एंड चैप्टर 2 जो शायद बहुत कम फिल्म मेकर्स बना पाते हैं अगर उन्हें सब्जेक्ट भी दिया जाता तो शायद वो रिजेक्ट भी कर देते कि ये क्या सब्जेक्ट है भाई हु इज इंटरेस्टेड इन वाचिंग द गैंगस्टर्स फ्रॉम द नेबरिंग कंट्री कुछ और बनाओ लव स्टोरी बनाओ गाने डालो ये होता है बट दिस मैन stuck to his vision and here as I said the producer of the film Jyoti Deshpande Jyoti ji with Lokesh Dhar and Aditya Dhar they are the three producers distinction marks kudos to all three because ये सब्जेक्ट को आगे लेके जाना 7.5-8 घंटे की फिल्म बनाना at a stretch and दो पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करना what if the first part wouldn't have worked they had shot the entire film what a risk but they had the confidence I distinctly remember when 3-2 had released and I was having a conversation with Jyoti ji and she did mention briefly about Dhurandhar in a sentence or two she said wait for Dhurandhar also I said acha she said yes just I won't say much just wait for it I remember this sentence of hers she just said this once fleetingly and then the conversation got over we never discussed till Dhurandhar came out till I saw Dhurandhar क्या कहूं and then I saw Dhurandhar 2 I spoke to her I had a long chat with her of course but hats off to the off-screen Dhurandhar every person associated with this film off-screen is a Dhurandhar
But do you feel, sir, because of this, there will be high expectations out of his next project, which is Ashwa Cinema?
absolutely it's a boon as well as a bane
Yeah.
जैसा कि मैंने कहा बून तो ये है कि भाई आपने इतनी बड़ी हिट दे दी आपके नाम के साथ इतनी बड़ी कामयाब फिल्म जुड़ गई है बेन इसलिए क्योंकि आपको आप ही की फिल्म के साथ कंपेयर किया जाएगा और लोग तब आपकी फिल्म को बहुत बारीकी से देखेंगे they'll watch every aspect of your film of your new film and compare it with the previous one so let's see what Aditya Dhar makes next because I'm sure every move of his will be keenly watched and I'm sure I'm very confident that he's going to make another path-breaking film again as I said he's a magician
And lastly, sir, now that Ranveer Singh has done a movie like Dhurandhar and Dhurandhar 2, do you feel he needs to kind of get into reset mode and do a different genre altogether to kind of, again win the audience? Because now on his shoulders also
Right.
there'll be a lot of weightage.
Yes, as I said, for Ranveer, this goes for Ranveer also, or for any actor in the film. See, what happens is that, I'm sure, I don't really know because it's not been officially announced. I keep reading in the media the next film that he's doing. Good luck to him. I genuinely feel that Ranveer is at a stage in life where he can experiment. वो कमर्शियल दायरे में रहकर एक्सपेरिमेंट कर सकते जैसे उन्होंने धुरंधर में किया It's not one of those Pushpa or KGF kind of a film. It borrows from reality, adds its own element. That entertainment ka tadka is there, the songs are there, vintage music is there, and beautifully packaged and given it to the audience. And I'm sure Ranveer is going to look at that, and I'm sure he is a smart actor. I'm sure he's learned his lessons over a period of time. I'm sure he's going to be making every step that he's going to take will be something that he'll be keeping all these factors in mind. And I hope, and I genuinely hope that he takes the right steps because, as I said, it's very important. We need actors to actually drive the industry forward. वैसे ही कुदरत का नियम भी young actors आएंगे. I've seen the era of Rajesh Khanna and the rise of Amitabh Bachchan. In that era, I just started out, and when Mr. Amitabh Bachchan rose, He was the unparalleled, the undisputed king. And then, of course, the Khans came. Akshay Kumar, Ajay Devgan also consolidated their position. Hrithik Roshan, who are relevant even today. And now we have Ranveer, Kartik Aryan. Varun Dhawan was very good in Border 2. Maybe I'm forgetting a name or two. Please pardon me. But I think it's very important for the Ahan Pandey. How can I forget him? He's one of my favorites. I was completely bowled over by his performance in Sayyara. So I hope they carry forward the legacy. I hope they carry forward the torch. Bollywood needs young actors to take it forward.
Yes, sir. And lastly, as we end this conversation, now that Dhurandhar has done such a fantabulous job, does that add pressure on a movie like Mathrubhumi, which is Salman's next, which is releasing in June? 3 months away from it, but kind of expectations will be very high because now we cannot, get into the same style of, storytelling. So, what do you have to say on that, sir?
What say? You've really said it very rightly. Your question is fantastic, Samina. क्यों? क्योंकि अभी हर फिल्म, and especially Salman's film, which is going to be next, और वो भी, see, when you have a Dhurandhar, then you have Border 2, you have Dhurandhar 2 now, then you have again a biggie coming in, that is, of course, Salman's film, Mathrubhumi. Now people are going to watch it and watch it very minutely. So for every actor, as I said, it's a reset button. You need to reboot. You need to rework your strategies. वक्त बदल रहा है और बदलते वक्त के साथ आपको बदलना बहुत जरूरी है. अगर आप यही सोचेंगे कि आप अपने कंफर्ट जोन में रहेंगे और वही करेंगे जो जो आप करते आ रहे हैं, तो शायद आपको फिर मौके नहीं मिले. बहुत मौके मिल चुके. So I'm sure Salman is going to deliver. I look forward to it. I'm very fond of him as an actor. I think he was outstanding in 2's films, which are my favorites. Bajrangi Bhaijaan and Sultan. There was one more film which didn't really work, but he was very good in that film, Jaane Man. But I hope Salman takes it very seriously. Really, really. He has that fighting spirit. He has that stamina to bounce back. And I'm sure he'll bounce back. Ek Friday ka sawal. Everything will change for better.
That's interesting to hear from you, sir. And I must say that now it's literally a Dhurandhar vibe for all of us. And hoping that we get to see more of such kind of cinema, and a lot of expectations are there, when we see action-oriented movies. And that's one genre which has kind of, taken over the, entire algorithm and the cinema right now. But lovely chatting with you, sir. Always lovely chatting with you, sir. And thank you for such wonderful insights. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Hi, this is Samina Sheikh here on Zoom channel, and with me right now I have Akshaye Rathi, who is going to discuss about Dhurandhar 2 success, the box office collection, how it is going to be for Ranveer Singh, and lots more. So join me as I welcome him only on Zoom. Lovely to have you, Akshay, on this. And the film has been doing a lot of rounds, but people have been comparing it to one chapter as well, the Dhurandhar Part 1. So what do you have to say about a movie like Dhurandhar 2?
Well, first things first, thanks for having me again. And the comparison between 1 and 2, right? Of course, 2 is a movie that really has opened with so much of expectation and euphoria. The first one, of course, came with a lot of excitement. The promos were terrific. The cast was interesting. The premise was amazing. But it took time up to the day 2 for it to really take off and explode the way it did. Here from day 0, the kind of advances that we've seen, the kind of euphoria, expectation and curiosity and traction around the film has been unprecedented. It's clearly one of the biggest opening weekends in the history of Hindi cinema and Indian cinema for that matter. And even in terms of the tonality and the nuances of the film, it actually is notches higher than the first part, in my belief. Right? I mean, if you have to draw comparisons to other films of similar genres, if the first one was like Taran Adarsh Akshaye in some sense, right, which was an amazing film, this one's like Border, where it's absolutely mass, ballistic, no holds barred, huge action, and a lot of thrills and a lot of playing to the galleries that happens, and that makes it even bigger and more front-loaded. So amazing times at the box office because of this.
But do you think that it is going to surpass the collection of Dhurandhar 1 when it comes to box office numbers? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's poised to do that for the simple reason that this is like watching Bahubali 2 with the curiosity of Katappa ne Bahubali ko kyun mara. So the kind of anticipation that the first part is created for the part 2, pretty much everyone who saw part 1 will watch part 2, which by itself ensures a certain volume of business. And to enhance that, what the studio involved, which is Geo has orchestrated in partnership with exhibitors, is that because this movie has come with such huge expectations, the ticket prices have been enhanced slightly, which result in a bigger box office number, a net collection. And therefore, I'm pretty sure that Dhurandhar 2 is more than poised to surpass Part 1 and create new benchmarks, beating the new records that were set by Part 1.
What do you have to say about Ranveer Singh's performance, in this one? And at the same time, do you feel that Dhurandhar is going to, drastically bring a lot of change in terms of the kind of projects which has been approached to Ranveer Singh or the kind of projects he's been doing? We have seen, like, in the last few years, things have not worked in favor of him as such. But Dhurandhar 1 and Dhurandhar 2 has kind of unleashed the different animal of Ranveer Singh. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is the biggest hit that he's delivered by a mile, right? I mean, the last one being Padmavat that he was a part of, that was really big. And I truly believe that the feasibility of him being in a movie of this budget and size and scale is suddenly something that people have discovered for the simple reason that, see, it's, whether it's Ranveer Singh or any of the A-lister stars that we have today, we've had so many instances of the same actor in the same year opening at some 2 odd crores and then suddenly at 18 to 20 crores for the next movie. Because while it's star power that comes into play, primarily what draws in opening and what gives the business at the box office is the content of the movie. And having done Dhurandhar and shown the kind of numbers that he has, I think now it's going to be pretty commonly perceived that you can mount a film that is worth 200, 250, 300 crores featuring Ranveer Singh. And somewhere I think you have to also give credit to not just Ranveer but also the phenomenal ensemble that's a part of the film, where Akshay Khanna, Arjun Rampal, Madhavan, even Rakesh Bediji, Sara Arjun, everyone has played a role in really mounting the film up in terms of its stature and perception. And having said that, I still believe that the star of this film, part one as well as two, is the storyteller Aditya Dhar. And I really think that had it not been for the magic that he's put into play, in conjunction in partnership with Shashwat Sachdev, who's done phenomenal music, Geo Studios, which has really backed the film in a big way and put it out the way they have. I think it's a phenomenal team play that's been displayed by these guys, and kudos to them for that. And I really hope that all of them go on to do bigger, better stuff going ahead immediately.
In terms of also, the way the tickets have been kind of priced, for this one, what do you have to say on that? Some of the tickets are very expensive also, and the way it has been kind of categorized, there's a conversation around it, leading to kind of raise in the entire box office collection. What are your thoughts on that?
So, Samira, while the ticket prices compared to most other blockbusters have been elevated slightly, I think one thing that we need to be very cognizant of when we talk about the ticket prices is that we often talk about those 2,800 rupees or 3,100 rupees tickets, which probably are one row in one auditorium in a location like Bandra Kurla Complex in one of the most premium multiplexes of the country. It's important to look at not the extremes but the average. And if you look at the average, I think the average ticket price of the film is still somewhere in the late 300s or early 400s. And the minimum, if you look at the other side of the spectrum, I know of cinemas which are selling tickets for 100 or 150 rupees as well. So it's important to notice and speak about the fact that the movie Dhurandhar is on offer in cinemas, starting at a price band of 100 rupees, going up to a 3,200 rupees. And while the movie is the same, what you continue to pay for in an enhanced manner as you go from a 150 to a 250 to a 350 to other prices going right up to 3,200 is the services, the ambience, and the amenities that you're really enjoying and paying for. It's perfectly okay to have a dal in a dhaba in Delhi, and it is great to go to a fine dining restaurant like a Bukhara in Delhi and have the same dal makhni. What you pay for is the ambience, the service, the environment. It's exactly the same with movies.
And also, as you speak of, of this, of the ticket prices and all, one thing which has also, come to notice is the music. The music has been completely different as compared to the first one. In first one, we did hear a lot of music. In this one, yes, we did hear, but it was less. It was not that much. And there were selective songs. What do you have to say on that?
I think, I truly believe, and having heard it a few times now, I truly believe that the music of Dhurandhar 2 is also really nice. The only difference between the part 1 and part 2 is that the music of the part 1 had started to release in advance, and therefore the tracks had started to get popularity before the release of the film. Here, if you look at it, the music release happened on the 17th and the movie released on the 18th. So the songs didn't get that runway or that breathing space to really grow and to really capture people's imagination. Having said that, I truly believe that at least some of the songs from part two will have that stickiness and traction that the part one had. It's only a question of them really, being out there and getting the breathing space to really capture people's imagination. Like, I truly believe that Aakhri Ishq is a phenomenal romantic song. I truly believe that Ari Ari has the attitude that really elevates the screenplay of the film in a solid way. Some of the older tracks that have been recreated and used in the film, whether it's Oe Oe or whether it's Tamma Tamma, which have been used in very interesting sequences, or even Bonnie M's Rasputin, which really comes into play at a very interesting juncture and elevates the screenplay to a whole different level. I truly believe that these will find a lot of revisit and traction going forward as the movie continues to march on at the box office.
While Akshay Khanna was completely missed in this one because, of course, the character ends in such a way, do you feel Arjun Rampal and Sanjay Dutt kind of covered the screen with their performances, including Rakesh Bedi?
Oh, absolutely. And besides the people you spoke about, R. Madhavan, I truly believe that the second film, right, Dhurandhar 2, in a certain way, if you look at it from a distance, is really Madhavan's story of redemption. I mean, the character of R. Madhavan, Ajay Sanyal, right? And all of them, I think, have done a spectacular job in the film. Arjun Rampal as, ISI Major truly looks gruesomely mean. Sanjay Dutt has that swag and charisma about him in general. He's one of those people who can walk into a room of 500 people, and when he does that, every head will turn towards him. He has that aura of a superstar. Similarly, Ranveer Singh, I think, in the first film, he had a very restrained performance. In this one, it's the complete other end of the spectrum where he goes completely front loaded and full on board with, with showmanship. So all of them, I think, have been absolutely phenomenal. And Rakesh Bedi, of course, I mean, the character that he plays, Jamil Jamali, I think is going to become the icon of his career in the true sense, despite him having done some phenomenal work over as many decades. And like there are many actors, like Shah Rukh Khan to many people is Raj, and Salman Khan to many people is Prem. I truly believe that Rakesh Bedi to a lot of people for perpetuity now is going to be Jamil Jamali. It's definitely the career redefining, iconic, role that he's the most career defining and iconic role that he's played. And I'm sure it's a matter of time before he goes out, walks on the streets, and people start addressing him rather than as Rakesh ji, as Jamil Jamali, and really, the dialogues that he's got in the films. We're already seeing memes around him where he's speaking about stuff like which borrows from the film. So his dialogues are the next "Kitne aadmi the" or "Tera kya hoga Kalia."
And as you said, rightly said, like, yes, the dialogues are going to be, making noise. And at the same time, there were a lot of gruesome scenes also. And we have seen that in Dhurandhar 1 also. But in this one, we get to see a lot of brutal scenes. What do you have to say about that? The way it was depicted and showcased, it was really gruesome. And especially when how Arjun Rampal's character comes to an end also, that was something else altogether. What are your thoughts on that? The way the action-oriented scenes, Aditya Dhar has portrayed.
So, Samina, two things, right? One, you're showcasing a particular world where violence is rampant. When there is, a situation of violence between the two countries and the two agencies that have been in a conflict situation for many, many decades, and when there are situations like those where flashpoints of conflict and violence arise, it really is brutal. And there are enough accounts that we've heard of Indian soldiers who have been treated in, who were captured on the other side of the line of control or whatever else, where we've known of things being absolutely brutal and inhuman. And that's why what's being showcased is really not far from the reality. And having said that, ultimately, what Aditya Dhar has made is not a documentary, but cinema where emotions need to be elevated, right? And therefore, violence plays a role to elevate emotions, and that makes you, in some cases, feel for a character in terms of feeling sorry for him or her. In some cases, feeling that sense of euphoria of redemption for our country. And that's why I think violence plays that role in really giving the movie that emotional arc. And if that is something that aids the storytelling, so be it. The movie has been certified A-rated by the censor board. Then therefore the audience that can access that kind of violence is also filtered, which is, I think, a good thing.
But also, Akshay, as much as we praise Aditya Dhar's, director, the hat he's worn and the way he's done the direction, the way he's produced the movie, there were certain scenes which were highlighted on social media also, which had, showcased the director being there in the frame. That came out across as a blunder. What do you have to say about that? While he's been compared to that, to his direction to, Christopher Nolan. So what do you have to say on that?
I think comparisons with Christopher Nolan, I think, are a bit unfair. I think Aditya Dhar is the Christopher McQuarrie of India. And Christopher McQuarrie is the guy who's made the recent Mission Impossibles, which were phenomenal films, right? Where I think the technicality of it maybe a little subpar, but the storytelling is so solid that it eclipses the technicality or the errors in technicality completely. I'm sure there are enough and more people who watch the film who probably saw those frames where the DOP is coming in the frame in a mirror or whatever, the stuff that's being highlighted on the social media. But the storytelling is so powerful that you're too busy looking at the characters performing and what's happening in terms of the story arc to even notice any of it. And I truly believe that those sort of technical errors should not happen, especially in a day and age where you can digitally correct so much. But having said that, I really think the storytelling took over in such a manner that beyond a point it stopped to matter.
And yes, and that is important. The storytelling should be in such a way that it should kind of keep us glued to the seats. At the same time, the movie has kind of faced some flack on the social media, and when I say so, particularly on X, where the entire conversation about demonetization took place, and people did feel that why that was brought into place when the movie focuses on these characters, on the dacoits of Pakistan, and how India has kind of dealt with it with an Indian spy. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, see, it's a point of view, right? And everyone has the right to an opinion. As much as we have movies like Dhurandhar, which take a certain political stance and speak about a certain, political milieu, and in a very soft way, probably endorse a political ideology. We also have enough films that endorse or that really support a political ideology that's completely contrasting to this one. And what's important is that both these kind of films should exist, right? It cannot be one that continues to exist and continues to flourish and the other doesn't. For every Aditya Dhar, we also have an Anubhav Sinha. For every Vivek Agnihotri, we also have a Sudhir Mishra, right? Where these contrasting viewpoints are there. And it's important to, sort of agree to disagree at a certain level, but in a civil manner as an industry. While we support, let's say, what an Anubhav Sinha tried to tell with a Mulk, it's important to let that freedom of expression also remain with a Vivek Agnihotri or an Aditya Dhar or any of the filmmakers who make films supporting any ideology or belief system. That's the beauty of a democracy, Samina. And I really think that, that thing they say about I may disagree with you, but I support the right of you being able to say what you must. That is the beauty of democracy. And for all that flack around it being propaganda and whatever that's doing the rounds, there clearly are enough takers who really think that it may be a certain political ideology that it's supporting, but there clearly seem to be enough takers for it, which is endorsed by the fact that this is going on to become the highest grossing film in Hindi cinema in many, many decades. So I really think that all of us, especially as an industry, need to step back from pointing out the political ideology or loadedness of this film, and for once just celebrate the fact that new markets and new benchmarks for business are being defined, and it's actually a movie that's posing a challenge at all of us as an industry, that hey, this is what Hindi cinema can achieve in terms of box office benchmarks and footfalls. Let's have the next one that conceived and created that can go on to break these records and set new ones.
Also, in the end, while it doesn't state that, there will be a Dhurandhar 3, and, even when Aditya Dhar, Dhar, had some press conferences, he clearly mentioned that he just wanted to extend this one because he made a movie which was 7 hours long. So he wanted to kind of, extend, having a second, part 2. But because the way, Ranveer Singh's character was kind of saved from the entire dilemma which was taking place, a lot of people are expecting Dhurandhar 3. Do you feel there should be an extension to this one? What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel that probably, or probably let's end on to this? Because probably if we move on, Dhurandhar 3, there could be chances of Ranveer Singh's character kind of coming to an end.
Well, see, it's a decision that should be made not on the basis of just the franchise value and the popularity of this film, but on the basis of whether they come across a script that really warrants for Dhurandhar 3 to be made, right? The fact that Ranveer Singh's character survives, the fact that Madhavan's character is there, the fact that ISI as an institution, as shown in the film, continues to exist and be at play, really has the elements for if there's a part 3 or there's an appropriate story for part 3, the elements have been left on the table. But like I said, doing it for the heck of just encashing on the popularity of part 1 and 2 would be doing disservice not just to the third edition, but also to the popularity and the cult status that the first two enjoy. So if there really is a story that by itself warrants to be made immediately, desperately, and amazingly, then maybe seeing it as a sequel to these two makes sense. Otherwise, it really shouldn't be done for the heck of it. Some things should just be left alone with that cult status that they enjoy, because fidgeting with them can really degrade retrospectively the stature that they have.
And lastly, there are two questions which I have. One is that Dhurandhar overseas, has also done well despite, being banned at, in the Middle East and, facing some flack, right now in the country as well. The movie has done well. What do you have to say on that? While the movie has kind of faced a ban in the Middle East right now, what are your thoughts on that? And at the same time, the second question to you is how this movie is going to change, Ranveer Singh's career, focus completely, your career map right now?
Well, see, first things first, the overseas numbers have been absolutely historic, despite the Middle East, which is a huge, huge market for Indian films, not being able to contribute. And I really think that, in terms of the kind of benchmarks it's setting in North America and various other markets, there's a high chance it can go on to become among the highest grossers overseas for Indian cinema as well and create new records. So that's absolutely amazing. And it really speaks about the power of the Indian diaspora that's present the world over, and the kind of contribution that a well-made film can really make back to Indian content from different markets. And more so, I think, somewhere it's also become a cultural movement, which is, which comes from the fact that if you remember, there was that video that was doing the round on the social media where the Canadian Prime Minister, Carney, was speaking to another country's premier, I think the Prime Minister or President of Finland, where I think one of them asked the other about how the visit to India was and how the social media is reacting to it. And the Canadian Prime Minister said that, it really exploded after I saw Dhurandhar and spoke about it. Now, something like this happening really is not just about the box office impact, but about what the honorable Prime Minister speaks about, where cinema is our soft power. Now, clearly, when two premiers of nations who are not Indians or have no connections to India are speaking about the power of Dhurandhar and the impact that it's created on their social media accounts, it really shows how amazing our Hindi cinema can be. Like Hollywood has, in some sense, been the cultural ambassador of America to the world. It's about time some of our movies start doing that. And about Ranveer Singh's career, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, earlier, it's now clearly visible that movies of a certain size and scale can be mounted with him being in the lead. And the next one that he's doing, I believe, which is Pralay, with Jay Mehta's directing, I believe is a step in that direction, where it's again a huge film, very ballistically mounted, and has great potential. And I really hope that, see, these kind of films can't really be planned; they happen to people, right? And it's actually put not just Ranveer Singh, but also Aditya Dhar, and also Madhavan, and also Sanjay Dutt, and also Arjun Rampal, and also Akshay Khanna in a place where now they will really be in a position where they have to make choices that take their careers further up from here, rather than notches below. And I truly think that while he's chosen his next film, the next few that he chooses really go on to become iconic. We saw that happen to Ranbir Kapoor, where Animal broke out in a big way, and that suddenly made it a whole different career trajectory for him, where from being the coming of age lover boy in romantic comedies and romantic films, Ranveer Singh is suddenly playing these larger than life characters.
It's
And
like he's completely moved from the romantic side to, completely take an action oriented.
absolutely. So I'm not saying he shouldn't do any other genres and he should only continue to do these. But yes, I mean, it's about time Ranveer Singh makes choices where there are films that he does which have a larger intrinsic value and can appeal to the length and breadth of the country like Dhurandhar has.
And lastly, as we speak about Ranveer Singh, comes the director as well, Aditya Dhar. And, he's been known for making movies like Uri, Dhurandhar 1, Dhurandhar 2, and now he's also coming with, Ashwathama. What do you just say that, because a film like Dhurandhar kinds of, raises the bar for a director like Aditya, and expectations will be very high. Though the movie is completely a different subject altogether, it may be that the expectations would be on a very high level. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, no doubts about that. And there are enough directors who delivered blockbusters back to back and have been able to carry on that momentum, right? Rohit Shetty, if you realize, starting from Golmaal 1, he's been delivering blockbuster after blockbuster, I think with Sunday being the only exception. S.S. Rajamouli, I mean, about 13 to 14 films in all blockbusters, one after the other. If you look at, Aditya Chopra, he did DDLJ and then he did Mohabbatein, both of which were huge hits. Karan Johar delivered Kuch Kuch Hota Hai and after that topped it up with a K3G. Or for that matter, closer home, Rajkumar Irani, right? Where Munna Bhai was a hit. Lagera Munna Bhai was a huge hit. And after that came Three Idiots. So there are enough directors who, are up for that challenge of expectations. And purely going by Aditya's temperament and the consistency with which he's told tales that really engage. So we're talking about the three theatricals that he's had, which was Uri, Dhurandhar 1 and 2. But if you look at a lot of what he's done for streaming or otherwise, or even produced, right? Article 370 was a theatrical blockbuster, which he backed and produced. Baramulla was huge on Netflix, which again he produced. Dhoomdham, which is a completely different genre that he made with Yami Gautam and Pradeep Gandhi as a producer, again very successful and very entertaining. So he clearly is a voice in a mind who has the ability to engage and entertain the hell out of the audience. And whatever he makes next, whether it's Ashwathama being revived or anything else that he chooses to make next, I'd be very, very excited and I'd look forward to the day when that movie releases, or more so when it starts to shoot, because that'll bring it closer to its release. So fingers crossed. And here's hoping that he can open up the horses and allow his flights of imagination and creativity to fly and touch the skies.
And lastly, before I let you go, now that Dhurandhar 2 has released, Dhurandhar 1 is something which you have seen last year. Do you feel that this is a completely shift in Indian cinema, and a lot of stars who have done a certain kind of movie, a certain genre for a selective period should kind of also enhance, and change with time and evolve with time? If you could see that a lot of action-oriented and gruesome movies have been liked by people. People are preferring, this raw and real side of cinema than seeing something which we have seen for years and all. So this modification is required, and as we always say that we need to change and evolve. Indian cinema that itself needs that kind of drastic change via such subjects.
So while we need to change and evolve in terms of the technique with which we tell our tales and the nuances of storytelling, I think it's equally important to make sure that we don't go the herd mentality route. And because Gadar, Pathan, Jawan, Animal, Pushpa, and Dhurandhar have worked, it shouldn't be a scenario where every actor only wants to do these larger-than-life gruesome action films. We need to realize that in the year where Dhurandhar 1 became a huge success, there was another film that became an unprecedented success, and that movie was Yash Raj and Aditya Chopra and Mohit Suri's Sayyara. Right? So it's important to make sure that we mix up genres with consistency. And there is something in the theaters for every kind of an audience, for people who are fans of every genre. And it's important that we have our star directors and our star actors backing even those films. So for the next Ashwathama that's made, we need the next Sayyara as well. We need the next Mahavatar Narsimha as well. We need the next Lapata Ladies as well. We need the next 12th Fail as well. And we need the next 3 too. So it really needs to be that mix of genres that we continue to churn out. Because by super saturating one genre, we'll end up killing it over, the next 1.5, 2 years. And after that, people will be sick and tired of it. So we should not allow that situation to come into play and make sure that we deliver with a certain consistency through every genre there can be.
Well, lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much, Akshay, on giving such good insights. And let's see, how cinema turns out to be, post Dhurandhar 2 success. And we do have a lot of good lineups, in the coming days and in the coming months, actually. But lovely chatting with you as always. And thank you so much for giving your time today. Thank you so much.
Pleasure mine. Thank you.